Okay, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. We're doing a different topic today. And what we recently did is we actually expanded on the ground in Calgary. So Remax Wealth now has a physical presence on the ground. And we want to welcome Kripa Patel to the team. So she's on the ground in Calgary, both representing our clients who want to sell their Calgary properties and clients that want to buy existing built resale properties in Calgary. Why we want to do that, we wanted to close the loop because we realize that there are a lot of people that may want to exit their investment, and we wanted to make sure that they were serviced correctly and within the wealth builder standard. So we brought Kripa on, and then we thought for a great topic is people may be like, okay, I am interested in selling my property, but I have no idea how to sell my property in Calgary. So we wanted to start off today's presentation and give the floor to Kripa, and she can talk about selling your property in Calgary. So Kripa, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. And of course, we got Kyle and Nish here as well. We got the whole team. And we'll talk a little more later about, buying in Calgary as well. But we'll give the floor to Kripa now. So Kripa, it's all yours.
Thank you, Alex, for the warm introduction. Hi, guys. I'm a Calgary-based realtor, and I am so fortunate to be joining the Remax Wealth Builders team so we can expand our services broader. So today we're going to talk about selling your Calgary property, what that kind of looks like. So starting off, our team, we're Remax Wealth Builders. We're based out of Toronto and Calgary now, and so we're servicing both cities perfectly on the ground. Your team on the ground is both Alex and I. So Alex is part of Remax Circle of Legends. He has achieved one of the biggest milestones in the industry. And I have lived in Calgary myself for over 20 years now. So I know the sectors pretty well. I know all the areas, schools, things like that. I know what's kind of happening in the actual city itself. So how is the Calgary market? This is a question I get a lot. And Calgary is an interesting city in Canada. So our sales are going up in terms of price. So year over year, we're up 9.9%. However, our inventory and our new listings are going way down. So we're short on supply. We're getting lots of migration into the city, but we just don't have the housing to support all these people that are coming in. So our months of supply is actually less than one, which means that in less than 1 month, we're actually going to run out of all the houses on the market. So what kind of homes are selling best right now? Pretty much every single thing is selling. The best is actually row homes, and this is kind of correlated to the high interest rates. People who are kind of affording that semi-detached, small detached house are moving into the row home and apartment-sized houses. So we're seeing a lot of price increases in row houses and apartments, but semis and detached are also doing well. They're at 14% increase. So across the city, we're seeing a huge boom, huge growth in price. And I think since December, detached prices have gone up about 30,000 already. So yeah, it's good to know some of these things so you know what kind of property you have and how well that area is doing.
Kripa, these numbers seem to be doing the opposite of what Toronto's doing.
I know, we're quite lucky here. So there's growth in the market in every single area. There's no one particular area of the city that's doing better than other necessarily. All the areas are picking up, but we're seeing the highest growth in northeast part of Calgary due to the demand. We're not having a lot of growth right now in terms of development, not too many new communities. So the houses that are already there and that our investors and our clients have already bought, those ones are doing really well in price. The east is also picking up quite a lot because that's where it's the most affordable.
Hey guys, didn't we tell a lot of people to buy in the east and the northeast?
For a
These
couple
guys,
years now.
yeah. And funny enough, our newest project are row homes in the east. So don't forget that.
Yeah, we're quite lucky. So one of our newest projects that we have launched recently is actually in the east, just off of Stony. So great access, great growth in prices, 25% increase year over year is quite a lot. So moving on, we've got a little bit of data which I found to be absolutely interesting. So the Calgary Real Estate Board, every year we forecast what we think is going to happen in the market this year. We're projecting an even greater increase in sales of apartments, a little bit less detached, but apartments and row sales are going way up, and some of our best products are apartments and row houses. So this kind of tells you where you should be putting your money to get the most out of it.
And Kripa, if you could just clarify, apartments are the high-rise or low-rise condos that we typically see.
Yes, anywhere from 3 to 5 story buildings up to high-rise buildings, all considered apartment. Row houses are going to be your condo fee townhomes. So that's how we differentiate them. And I also wanted to highlight, it's not just Calgary, but all of our surrounding areas that are doing incredible. Number of sales are down simply because our inventory is not catching up to how much demand we have. But Chestermere has seen a great increase. And again, some of our newest projects are kind of spreading a little bit east, closer to that Chestermere area too, because a lot of people want to be near Stoney, want to be on that east side where the prices are lower, but there's also great access to amenities and resources in the city. So just to give you an idea, everywhere around Calgary is doing great too. So Calgary's market, we're in a seller's market. What this means is we've got a lot of competitive offers. People are willing to pay more, but they're asking for less as buyers. They're not going to ask you to fix little things in your house. They're going to say, we'll give you a ton of money. We'll just take it as is. We're seeing higher prices and quicker sales. So prices are going up, houses are selling faster. There is greater negotiation power that sellers are having. So you can ask for more money and more favorable conditions, like I said. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for financing. Someone can give you an unconditional offer. You can get your property sold risk-free pretty much right away. There's also a great opportunity to reinvest. So the market is continuing to go up and we're forecasting an increase still. So with the rates that are hopefully going to come down with mortgages as the market goes up, there's a great opportunity to sell your property and perhaps reinvest into multiple properties. So what does that kind of look like? If you do want to sell your property, what is that process? How do we go about it in Calgary? It's quite general. So we have a preparation phase. And in this phase, there's extensive research. We try and figure out, okay, do we want to quickly sell your property? Are we willing to wait a little longer and have a different plan? We create a strategy together to tailor it according to your goals and your property and how we can get your, results as quick as possible in the best way possible. Then we focus on the listing. We want to prep your property to look and feel its best and attract as many buyers as possible to get the highest price. We work on offer and negotiation together. We look at the benefits and disadvantages of all the offers that you've received, and we pick according to your comfort level. Then we work towards the contract, satisfying any conditions and terms, and then we work towards closing, where I can assist you in transferring ownership and handing over the keys to the new owners. Our goal at Remax Wealth is to make your life easier. We want to maximize your wealth and minimize your stress. So what does this look like in practice on the ground in Calgary? So for you guys, we have property-specific services that we offer. So again, extensive research, and then we work on other preparations, marketing strategy tailored to you, professional photos and videos and tours. We give you legal and regulatory guidance if you need it. And we have a great network of local contacts and realtors that can assist in the process and get things done. The Wealth Builders difference is that when we have somebody from our team join you in selling your home, we know ways to make your property stand out against others. So if there's multiple units, let's say you booked a unit in a building, a lot of people are going to sell their units now. How do you stand out against the 5 other units that came on for sale at the same time? We know how to do that for you. Getting your property cleaned, maintained well. If you've had a tenant in there for a little bit of time, we want to make sure we take care of the property, make it nice, present it as best as possible. We give you feedback and reports. We keep you informed at each stage so you can sit back with ease and not worry about what's happening with the sale of your property. And we're lucky enough to be part of Remax Central in Calgary. So Remax Central is one of the biggest brokerages, the top achieving brokerage in Remax across the world. So we have a great SEO system. We use it to maximize exposure for your property to ensure that as many people are viewing it as possible. They say up to 98% of home searches start online. So we want to ensure that as many people see your home as we can. So what do you need to do as a prospective seller? What do you need to do to get your property sold? How can you get this done? It's quite simple. You get in touch with us, we'll take care of the rest. We'll guide through the entire process. We'll show you how to sell your property, the information we need and how you can do this from a distance, or if you'd like to be more involved, how we can get you more involved so you know how your property is being sold on the ground here. So that's pretty much it. It's a quite simple and general process. I will kind of leave it to Alex to guide the discussion from here, and then we can also answer anyone's questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kripa, thank you for letting people know about the market. And what I want to tell people out there, because the first question, we get this often, Hal and I were talking about it this week, earlier in the week, get the question, what about assignments? Okay, what people have to understand is a few things. Number one, there isn't really an assignment market in Calgary. Literally, the lawyers don't know how to do assignments in Calgary. Kyle, you recently purchased an assignment in Calgary. Did the lawyers have any paperwork for that assignment?
No, actually, because they're not really prepared for it. I actually ended up using the Ontario forms because it's well-established practice in Ontario, but in Calgary, pretty much brand new. So we just used those forms that had all the information on it, and that's what we use for the legal paperwork.
And how many months did it take for that transaction to?
Oh God, it took like 6 from
Yeah.
beginning to end.
Yeah. So I just want to let people know there isn't really a market out there. People in Calgary aren't buying assignments. Kripa, do you have buyers locally that are going, hey, Kripa, I want to buy an assignment?
There is absolutely no one saying that. Most people don't know what assignments are here. We just do not have an assignment market, unfortunately. And when we do rarely see that unicorn come along that wants an assignment, the process, like Kyle pointed out, it's new. Nobody knows how to do it. Even the lawyers are quite new to it. So it's not standardized in what anyway.
Yeah, and again, the reason for that is, and this is why we got into when we started promoting investment in Calgary in 2019, you had a period of years on years on years where there were no new condo sales. It didn't exist. So there isn't a market for assignments because there hasn't been assignment product to sell. So I just wanted to let people know that's part one. Part two, given the high interest rate environment, the only people that are going to buy assignments are investors. And again, not going to be local investors. It's going to be out of province investors. And what those investors require is a deal because they don't need to buy your unit. An investor wants to see, okay, if I'm going to buy this from you, then I need a discount to current market prices. So what we're seeing is that if someone wants to sell their unit on assignment, they're going to have to give up their entire deposit. And then plus there's selling fees on top of that, which I may sound harsh right now on that, but my next line to people, and you saw the stats, Kripa showed you the stats, condo sales up. Actually, it's condo pricing up 17%, not even the sales, condo pricing up 17%. The market trajectory is going this way. You wait 1 year. So today you'll lose your deposit because only an out of province investor is going to buy that. And there'll be selling fees on top of that. So you'll be out in the neighborhood of 15% from the purchase price. Or if you wait 1 year, when the interest rate environment improves, which it will, we know that, you'll probably double your original deposit. So you go from an over negative 100% return on investment to 100% return on investment. by waiting 1 year. And I always tell people panic and they want to sell an assignment. So I go, why don't you sell your RRSPs? Oh, why would I sell I'm not going to sell my RRSPs. A stock that I invested, it's gone down. I'm going to lose money on that stock. Oh, and the taxes are going to be terrible. That's what a selling an assignment is. It's like selling your RRSPs and cashing them out early. It's people are panicking and selling them at the wrong time. The numbers are right there. Kripa put them back on the screen. When we sold these, we always told people, hold these for 5 years. Hold these for 5 years. You're gonna make money on these. The market trajectory is going up. We're already seeing condo prices go up, and that trajectory is going to continue. Why will that trajectory to continue? And Kripa touched on it. I've seen it happen in Toronto time again. It's going to happen in Toronto again. I have the same speech in Toronto. When your gap grows between the freehold to the condo, which is your affordable market, right? Everyone wants a single family detached home. That's the dream. But if they can't afford a single family detached home, then they're going to go the most affordable options condo. When the gap gets too big, well, you have an affordability crunch. Pricing on the freehold side will start to slow, and then you'll have rapid increases on the condo side. I've seen it time and time and time again. That's what we're seeing now in Calgary, and that's going to continue as well, because that's the affordable option in the market. So you go and interest rates won't be, if you're getting a variable right now, 6.3%. Interest rates in 12 to 18 months, that variable are probably closer to 4%. When you do the math on that, and you equate what the mortgage payments will be and what the same value would be if you're paying 6.3 to 4.3 for a mortgage payment, that value increases significantly. So that's how I know that pricing is going to go up. Alberta's leading Canada in population growth. It's leading Canada in economic growth. These are things that are not changing. So it's buy and hold, not buy and sell at the bottom of the market. So just wanted to let everyone know that. Is assignment an option? Yeah, you have the ability to, but is it a realistic option in regards to will it actually sell? It's probably not going to sell. And if it is, you're going to have to really sweeten the pot to make that sale happen. And then on top of that, the lawyers don't even know how to do it out there. So it just becomes a process where you could lose everything and then pay some more money, or you can double your investment by waiting 1 year, because all the growth is going that way. So I wanted to handle that question, because I was and thank you for that question right off the bat, but I wanted to let people know that's why you buy and hold real estate. That's why we start every single presentation showing the value of a real estate portfolio in 30 years. Okay. Other questions here. Just want to thank you all for what you're doing, offering, educating us about the real estate market, etc. Oh, guys, does that warm your heart? Like that, and we love it. We love educating people on this stuff, because we know. Kyle, I'm going to jump to you, Kyle, because you tell the story the best, because you literally ran lottos before for Canada. You were the person in the back end that was in charge of the lottos, and you had some crazy stats on retirement and people, what they were relying on the lotto for. So why don't you give your speech on why you got into real estate and the stats on the lotto?
Yeah, exactly. And I used to run Lotto Max and Lotto 649 across Canada. So I was the actual draws manager doing those draws. And my time there, I learned that about a third of Canadians were planning to fund their retirement by winning the lottery. Now, if you know anything about the odds of the lottery, it's one in multi-millions. That means that there are going to be a lot of Canadians that have not created a financial future for themselves. So I left the lottery to go and help people build essentially pension plans and be able to fund their retirement by investing in real estate over the long term. It takes time to build significant wealth and realize the full benefits of real estate investing. So that's what I do every single day. And at Remax Wealth Builders, we all pride ourselves on educating our clients. I have never said buy a property to flip on assignment. That is not how you make money in real estate. So really nice that we're getting those comments. Thank you for saying that. And we really take pride in giving information to people so they can make really good educated decisions.
Great question here. In regards to two great questions. I'll just let you know what the questions are coming up. Someone's asking about putting their property into a corporation. Other person's asking, I think I'm going to be negative cash flow in a condo that I have closing. So I want to answer both those questions. But first of all, I'll start with the corporation question. Does it make sense for you to close the property in a corporation? There's been some changes to the tax laws last week. And that muddies the water a little bit in regards to closing it in the corporation. So, and Kyle and I had an in-depth conversation, and as soon as those tax laws came, he has some closings coming up, and he emailed his accountant, which is also my accountant, and said, does this still make sense to close in a corp? And the answer is yes, asterisk, it depends on what you're doing. Okay, so if you're closing a property in a corp, you need to be operating an incorporated company. You don't need to be, but this is where it makes financial sense. If you're a T4 individual, so if you have a job and you don't have an incorporated company that's what pays you, then it doesn't make sense to close in a corporation. It never did make sense to close in a corporation even before the changes to the tax laws. It makes sense to close in your personal name. Even with the changes to the tax laws, or I shouldn't say it's not change the tax law, just change it to tax rate. The changes to the tax rate for corporations for capital gains, it would still make sense for you to close in a corporation. Again, if you own an incorporated operating company, meaning that's you own a company and then you take money from that company and that's how you pay yourself. Why it still makes sense is that, and this is what if you're reading about doctors and everything in the news and everything like that, when you keep money in your corporation, instead of paying yourself, you're taxed at a lower tax rate. That tax rate works out in Ontario to roughly 12%. If I'm taking that income personally, I'm taxing that income 55%. So if I keep the money in a corporation, my operating company, my corporation, that profit for that year is only going to be taxed at roughly 12%. Take it personally, 55%. So I'd rather invest my after-tax corporate dollars corporately versus my after-tax dollars personally. I will eventually one day have to pay the tax personally once I take the money out of the corporation and give it to myself, but that's retirement plan. So what you can then do is you take money out of your incorporated company and you put it in a holding company, and then that's your investment vehicle that you're investing. So even with the increase from 50% to 66.6%, so roughly to 67% to 16.6% increase on the capital gain exemption, everything like that, or reduction, I should say, it still makes sense because you're investing your after-tax dollars at 12% versus 55%. Again, if you're T4, just buy in your personal name. If you own an incorporated company and you're using those incorporated dollars to invest, then it still makes sense to invest in the corporation. So that's the answer there. Now, to people, this is again individuals that are closing on condos. They're looking at, let's say they have a rental guarantee or even market rent, and they're like, well, my cost of running the property is more than what's going to be going out every month. That's going to change in 1 year because your largest expense, your mortgage, is going to be at 66.3 or maybe 6.6. Well, that's going to drop down to in the low 4s or if not 4% when interest rates go down. So you're in a temporary time frame. So again, when you do the math, let's say I'm negative $300 a month. Let's do some math. So $300 a month, that's $3,600 a year. So negative $3,600, which also, by the way, that's tax deductible as well. So that can be written off against your taxes. So I'm losing $3,600. But that property goes up by $50,000 if I keep it 1 year. So my gain on that is 46,600, right? Or 400, something like that, over $4,600. So even though I'm negative, I'm better off keeping it because I know rates are going to go down. So you're in a temporary period where they increased rates to fight inflation, but we know that rates are going to go down. So you're looking at a temporary period where you're going to be having negative cash flow in Calgary. I can tell you in Toronto, it is so much worse in Toronto than it is in Calgary. So I'm looking at, let's say, a negative 300. In Toronto, and again, I'm literally living this. I had 6 closings last year. I have another 4 closings coming up this year. Every new construction project I'm closing on in Toronto, I'm negative $2,000 a month. Negative 2,000. I just leased one today, bottom Port Credit. Beautiful unit, looking over the water. My occupancy fees on it are $4,450 per month. Leased it for $2,300 per month. Every single condo in Toronto that's closing right now is in that situation. And how do I know? Because I'm personally closing on them and I see what my numbers are. So, and what I mean negative is relative that you're only putting 20% down. So that's what the negative cash flow is in Toronto, right? And those numbers that Kripa is showing, everything's opposite in Toronto, whereas everything on the upswing in Calgary, everything on the downswing in Toronto. If things are in the upswing in Calgary at 6.3%, just imagine what's going to happen at 4%. So yes, you're going to be negative cash flow, but most likely your equity pay down every month is still going to eclipse. So equity pay down is the amount that's being paid down on the mortgage every month is still going to be positive when I factor that into the down payment. So you're still paying off. So that tenant is still paying off off the mortgage off on the property because that principal payment is going down there. It's just a little money coming out of your pocket every month. So you may be negative a little bit, but your gain in 1 year will be significantly more. Anyone want to, Niche, Kyle, Kripa, want to add on that? But people panic and then they make the wrong decision. If you just wait 1 year, you're going to be far, far better off.
And typically we've seen with rental guarantees, by the time people actually close on the properties, those rental guarantees that they have are far too conservative. So it's often been in our clients' best interest to opt out of it and just to rent it at the fair market rate, because then you get the actual rent that's going on in the market, and you can adjust the rent to whatever the market rate is a year from now as well.
Yep,
so
right.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
so
to Kyle's point, all 3 of my properties, the rental guarantee was a great insurance policy in case something went sideways. But when I had the opportunity to opt out, I did. And the 2 that are currently tenanted, the gain is significant. There's quite a bit of a difference between the rental guarantee versus what I'm collecting. And as Kyle mentioned, you can increase the rent every month. And if for whatever reason you need to sell your property after 1 year, you're not obligated to stay in that rental guarantee for another year or 2 years in order to sell it. So this is really where we can help you with the data and information to make a good decision on it.
And it's something that we do for our clients as well. We prepare that analysis to see if it makes sense and give you the information you need so you can make an educated decision.
All about education. And again, there's always going to be road bumps, hiccups, that kind of thing. But when you take the longer view on everything is going to be okay. If something doesn't go your way this way, then you pivot and you go that way. But by just owning and holding the real estate asset over a long period of time, and doesn't have we use the 30-year example so I can just really show the maximization of that, like really quantified and large. But look at things over a 5-year period. Look at things over a 10-year period. You're going to be significantly better off. And they're amazing, the changes that can happen in 1 year's time. And that's what we're going to see. So just to further answer that question, the individual that asked about they're going to be negative cash flow, what is your recommendations to move a pre-con unit? My recommendation would be to close. You close on the unit. There's always a way to close. We can put you in touch with our mortgage team. You close on the unit. You hold it for at least a year, would be my recommendation. And you go from a negative situation to doubling your initial deposit. If you insist on selling it, you could always sell it after closing. But again, you're still way better off holding it for 1 year. There's tax advantages to that and everything like that. So my answer is, what's my recommendation to move a pre-con unit? Don't spend the time worrying about moving on it. Spend the time preparing yourself to close on it. You will be stressing a lot less. That is the best course of action. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear, because that's what makes the most financial sense for you. Because when you panic, that's when people make poor financial decisions. And again, I've lived it, Kyle's lived it, Nisha's lived it, Kripta's lived it. Like I look at my portfolio, I know what the negative numbers look like. But I'm not worried. Those numbers do not keep me up at night at all. And we're in a far better situation than we were last year because the light's at the end of the tunnel. So, guys, do we want to go into, and do we want to dip into why buy Calgary, or should we just keep on talking about buying and selling existing in Calgary? What do you guys think?
Most of the existing property webinar. So
Yeah.
let's stay on
So
topic.
so what I'll do is I'll open the floor to any other questions, but this is all being recorded as well. So if you do have any questions on buying or selling existing resale property in Calgary, we're happy to answer that. And then in following weeks, we'll continue on our, hey, here's all the good things that are happening in Calgary. Here's why you should buy. Literally, we talk about that every week. So we wanted to take this time to answer direct questions in regards to, hey, if you need to sell your property in Calgary, this is how you do it. And we have the team in place to do it. Or if you want to buy something existing, take advantage of some of these individuals that may want to be selling early, hey, we can help you with that as well. So if there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up. And again, email will be going out to everyone. You'll have Kripa's contact details, so you can reach out to her in regards to looking at selling or buying real estate in Calgary. But we wanted to welcome Kripa to the team. This is our soft opening of Kripa, available to everyone. You're going to see more marketing around her in the coming weeks and months. But we are now officially on the ground from Calgary, so we can take you from that initial pre-construction purchase all the way to exiting the asset. So we are the only team in Canada that can do that. And we're the team that invested the most in real estate. So we will educate you, and we will help you get the most value from the asset from when you want to sell it. So thank you so
Alex,
much.
there are just a couple other questions that
Oh,
popped up.
questions are coming in. Questions are coming in. Great. Perfect. If the buyer opts out of the rental guarantee, does the no maintenance fee promotion still apply? If there was a maintenance fee option on there, then what the maintenance fee generally is, it ends up being a credit on closing. So I believe that's what it'll be. So you'll get a credit on closing for the maintenance fee. So instead of paying X number of dollars, you're going to pay, that your contract says your units, let's say 400,000. What they'll do is they'll take 400,000 and they'll credit on that closing what the maintenance fee be on that. So your closing amount will actually be less.
So there's actually there's two that I've seen, Alex. One is that credit. The
Mhm.
majority of them that I see is cash back
Mhm.
that they get mailed to them within 30 days of closing, which they can use elsewhere. But just to preface all of that, in order for these incentives to be valid, you have to make sure that you're paying your deposit on time, and you also close when you're supposed to close. Because if you delay closing and you get that slap on the wrist, it's not just a slap on the wrist. There is a chance of those incentives not being there anymore. It's in the contract, so please make sure that the timelines are respected.
Yes, yeah. If you don't close on time, you lose all your incentives. What's your view on closing with private lending? Is it worth it holding for 12 months given the high carrying costs? Again, if you do private lending closing, it still makes sense to do the private lending closing, and then looking to recoup that in 1 year's time. Otherwise, again, the assignment market doesn't exist unless you were able to find a friend to buy your assignment. You can do that. But really doing that, if you have to do private lending, then that's your course of action. And then you're going to look at selling the asset in a year. And guess what? The asset will have gone up in value, which will help you recoup the extra closing costs, and you saved your deposit as well. So it does still make sense. And that's where I said with the last question in regards to how do I sell my PreCon? How do I move a PreCon unit? You don't spend this time figuring out how you're going to close that PreCon unit versus spending your time figuring out how to sell your unit, because this will be the more prudent course of action for you, absolutely, and it's going to save you money.
And there are lenders out there for every deal as well. You might not get the best possible interest rate, but you can get a deal done with enough time. So
Yes,
don't leave it to the
that-
very end, but reach out to us. And if you need any help with mortgages, we have a broad network that we can introduce you to.
Yeah, and then to further elaborate on Kyle's point, that just goes to where I was saying, if you spend your whole time trying to sell the unit and then you're not able to sell the unit and you got 2 weeks before closing, well, then we've really put ourselves in a situation. Whereas if we have more time, we spent that time putting financing in place, well, then we wouldn't have stress. So we're just here to tell you that we just want to pop the assignment dream. We just want to bring reality home. And then there's acceptance on that. You figure out how to close, and then you sell it in 1 year's time, and you will be in a much, much, much better situation. Hey, and by that time too, the Trans Mountain Pipeline will be fully running. I think it's running now, or is it close to? They're just doing tests on it now, I believe.
I think from what I saw last, there's less than a kilometer left of full completion. That's the last time I looked. So
I think that's even completed now. They're
Okay.
actually running pressurized tests on it now before and all the contract. I think it's already full in regards. I think all the contracts have been sold to actually move the oil into the pipeline. So,
and
okay.
One other thing to add, in the spirit of making sure we focus on closing, it takes about a 3 to 4 week time period for the effective paperwork to get done and completed through your mortgage lender and everyone that's involved. Please don't try to secure a better rate 2 weeks before your closing date, because if you do, chances are you won't close on time, and any money you might have saved on the interest rate, you're going to wind up paying in fees for closing later than you should have. So,
well, Niche, I would say, why don't you give kind of just a general example, because he's saying this from experience. He had a client that decided to like, hey, I can get a better rate. Let's just say, I'm going to throw random banks out. I don't know what banks that we're dealing with. I'm getting a better. I'm all good with TD, but 2 weeks before I sell, CIBC is fighting for my business. I'm going to switch my mortgage to CIBC. Guess what? They didn't close on time. They lost their deposit. And that property had gone up in value as well. So how much more did the builder list the property for sale than the purchase price?
Close to $75,000 more than what they bought it for. Probably, actually, maybe even more. Maybe close to $100,000, and it's sold.
Let's lose round numbers. So
100K.
So there was $100,000 more that the property ended up selling for because he didn't close on time, plus lost. Was it a 5% down or 10% down?
5% down.
So it's 5% down. So let's say
25K.
roughly a $25,000 loss on the deposit, plus $100,000 loss in equity. So $125,000 loss is what that individual went through.
And that would have been about a $250 difference on the monthly mortgage payment.
Yeah. So it's all about, so when people ask me, Alex, what's the best rate out there for, and this is, I'm going to say specifically for investor, if you're dealing with your personal residence, it's different. But as an investor, especially in this market, people ask, Alex, what's the best rate out there? If I'm closing a property and I have a hard deadline, my answer is the person that's going to give me the money. That is what I want to do. I just want to close on the property. I may not be getting the absolute best rate out there on the market, but I have someone that's going to give me the money. So I'll take the money. Does that mean I'm married to that person? No, that's where they use you date the rate. So I'm locked in. I know I'm getting money on the set date. I have no stress. That's the key thing. Can I refinance it after at a lower rate? For sure. Can I change lenders after the term is done? Absolutely. But when there's a hard deadline, just go with the person that's going to give you money. You can take a shorter period. So let's say you take the mortgages maybe for 1 year. There are different things that you can do when you're dealing with that. Another great question here. My unit in Calgary is running a negative cash flow due to the high interest rates on my mortgage. Should I hold on to it? That's what I heard from you today. Please confirm. Yes. Yeah. Hold on. Wait a year. Wait 1 year. Wait 1 year. You'll be in a far, 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 far better off situation. But again, if you need to sell, then we have that ability too to help you get the most value on that property as well. So if you wanted us to give you a market value on that property, send me an email, Julie, and because I know which building you're in, send me an email and I'll introduce you to Kripa, and Kripa will tell you what it's worth. And then you make a decision, hey, do I want to keep on running a negative cash flow, or do I want to exit this asset? So we just figure out what makes the most financial sense for you. But I would say holding on is better off, at least for one more year. Any more questions from anyone? Looks like we're done. Again, you have our emails, you have our contact details. Happy to answer any more detailed questions offline. But thank you everyone for attending. Again, this is recorded. Welcome, Kripa, the team. We're so excited to be on the ground in Calgary and expanding our service offering for everyone on here. So thanks, everyone. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye all.